Other news at this hour, financial security and long-term investment have become priorities for many women. For the primary breadwinners, property is not only a means to financial sustainability, but also means for women to provide for their children or their parents. So the recent information from Lightstone data indicates that there is a rise of single women purchasing property, with 60% of the country's residential housing stock owned by women. Now, whilst women view buying a home as a natural step in securing their financial and personal future, there are unique challenges and also opportunities that they face. Silindile Leseyane, property investor and coach, joins us to make sense of this data and more. Silindile, good afternoon. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Silindile, perhaps you could speak to how women's buying power is in fact reshaping South Africa's property market, given the data emerging.
So yeah, the data is definitely showing that women are definitely stepping up and owning and buying their properties, and which is a positive move for women. Because as you know, women are traditionally have to take care of children, parents, etc. And so having that sense of stability through a property or home ownership is a big goal that many women aspire to. And the fact that the data is now showing that most of the property buyers now are actually women, this is definitely a positive move for women, and it's definitely moving in the right direction. Considering that not so long ago, women were not even allowed to own properties. So this is definitely a positive move.
So in the same breath, what are some of the challenges, the common challenges that women come across during the process of purchasing a house, just as they obviously enter the market itself?
So the first hurdle, right, is to be able to afford a property in the first place. So as we know, with the gender pay gap, women tend to generally earn less than men. So we need to really be able to save up, for those costs, not only for the upfront purchase costs, but also for the general upkeep of the property. So the first real barrier for women is that, just having the costs to be able to afford a property. So then once they've bought the property, it's also then the upkeep, the maintenance, the levies, the rates, the insurance, all of that now also comes into play, which in most instances actually keeps most women out of the property sector. So that is one of the big things. The second thing is that when women look for a home, they want, a sense of home and stability and security. And that is definitely one of the things that they look for when they look for a home. So some of those factors then, are impacting how women buy properties, the patterns that we see in terms of them maybe leaning more towards sectional title or gated communities, just for that additional sense of security.
Well, speaking about affordability, upkeep, I wonder how insurance comes into play. And at this point, how do we begin to empower women in property, even real estate, breaking the barriers perhaps to soar?
So yeah, definitely it starts with firstly understanding what are the true costs of ownership, right? Not only what are the costs of acquiring the property, but what is it going to take for you to be able to keep up with the property? So as I've mentioned, things like levies, rates, and most importantly, insurance. This is one of the most underlooked expenses that property owners or property buyers often miss, right? So this is one of the very important things that you need to consider when buying a property, because it's one thing to be able to buy the property, but if something were to happen to that property, such as, for example, a fire, a flood, or any of those incidents, you want to make sure that your property is secured properly and that you're able to recover from that. So you need to be able to then take out insurance with the reliable insurer, such as Momentum Insure, which will insure your property and make sure that it is covered in case of any eventuality. So that is one of the things that you definitely need to take care of and factor into your cost of ownership. One, the insurance on the physical property itself. And secondly, the other thing that you need to consider when it comes to insurance is that you need to be able to insure it so that if anything were to happen to you, that there would be some sort of a payment that would settle the outstanding bond if you've got a bond on that property. So those are the two insurance considerations that you need to think about when thinking about insurance.
Silindile, are there unconventional ways of buying property that can be beneficial to first-time home buyers, perhaps in your capacity as a coach?
No, definitely. So as I've already mentioned that, the biggest barrier to property ownership is raising the money to buy a property. So you may find that maybe you don't have access to the money, you don't have access to bonds, you don't have enough savings. It's very difficult to buy property cash as property is expensive. So what I've seen in terms of the trends, now women are coming together and starting stokvels or investment groups that help them to be able to club together in order to be able to raise some of the money that goes towards this purchase price. So definitely one of the ways that, as we all know, stokvels have been here for many, many years. Our generations of women have used stokvels to help each other to be able to cover some of their living costs or their big items or to cover funeral costs, etc. But now they're actually using that as a means of actually being able to club money together to help each other to raise the money that is required to acquire a property.
Silindile Leseyane, property investor and coach, joining us to unpack women in property, some of the barriers they experience, but also the strides that have been taken to date. Again, thank you to her for her time with us here on the SABC.